Now moving on to baseball. Did I say baseball? Yeah. Dinger. I said Dinger.
Careful.
Yeah. Ding. Yeah. The mascot, the purple thing. Yeah. Dinger. Nah, I didn't say that. Come on, calm down, calm down. I said Dinger. I said Dinger. Like, I don't. I didn't say that. I don't know what they got talking about. If you don't know what I'm referencing, I'm referencing a incident that happened in the MLB this week. Um, an incident that involved a Marlins player, Lewis Brinson. Um, let's just say the least. I think it was a miscommunication or a interpretation of what he might have been saying and what he might not have been saying. I don't know. From what I hear, it sounds like one thing. I'm gonna let Jay explain what he heard. But at the end of the day, Jay, with all that said, my I guess my primary question to you is, even if the fan was not saying the word that we thought he was saying, and he was saying dinger, do you see this as a cause to for the Rockies to probably change the name of the mascot, or what kind of solution do you see coming out of this so-called highly tense situation here?
No disrespect. I think it's a ludicrous question. I really do. And just so you know, I've seen some of the, I've dipped my toe in the Twitter cesspool that it is, and just seen some of the foolishness out there. That's been commented on some of these official Colorado Rockies statements they put out, and I'll get into some in a minute. But I tell you, if this isn't the biggest crock of nothing that I've just ever heard in an age where people will make any gesture in their power, whether it's the old football team ditching their name and basically walking around without a birth certificate, or it's the Cleveland Indians becoming the Cleveland Guardians because the owner went outside and he looked at the traffic statues and was like, man, wow, what an inspiration. Like, I just can't imagine, I can't imagine being that profound and deep, and just, connecting the dots between George Floyd and systematic racism and the Indians, and just, man, it all connects. It's a what a maybe if I owned a baseball team, I'd have that level of that capacity and awareness to really just understand the intertwining of our complex and multicultural society. This is, first of all, I am going to acknowledge, because I think it's a fair point that you brought up before the show. If you hear this, if you were at the game and you heard you thought you heard a racial slur, and you don't know, and this is also for people who watched the video after the fact and did not know the mascot name. If you watch it if you don't know the context and you don't know the mascot name and you watch it live, we people hear different things. I get it. In the moment, like, really, we're saying that? Like, obviously that's going to turn some heads, and that's not acceptable. I get all that. But when you realize and you go back and you're like, okay, you get a little more information. You say, okay, the mascot's name is Dinger. Mascot's name is Dinger. We've established that. Drink, I'm going to tell you, I'm be honest with you. I watched this clip one time and one time only, and that was all I needed. The man said Dinger. The man was yelling at the mascot, Dinger, Dinger, Dinger. You notice how I'm putting that D out there so hard. Like, you can't even you cannot mistake what I'm saying. You're not going to catch me on this. So, with that in mind, if you're objective and you're not just out here grasping at straws, I think it's absolutely 1000% clear when you know what the mascot name is and you watch the video. That's it. Case closed. But we just live in a time where, Jason Whitlock actually has some interesting thoughts on this, where he said, searching for examples of racism is like the gold rush back in the 1840s, 1850s. It's just like everybody's out here just spending so much time finding examples of, because we got to root it out. We just have to. And I don't know if you've heard, but according to high-ranking people, white supremacy, that's the most pressing threat to the country. So we got to get rid of it, with that, especially with that in mind. And I got it. I'm all for, racism and all the rest. Like, I'm all for getting rid of it completely. But we have to, we gotta at least be consistent. And here what you have was, you had a heat of the moment situation where, maybe you heard one thing, but like you go back and you listen to the video, the correct context, and that's it. That's all you need. Meanwhile, this is what the Rockies did. The Rockies, this was their gut reaction statement. The Colorado Rockies, this is all via their Twitter feed. The Colorado Rockies are disgusted at the racial slur by a fan directed at the Marlins' Lewis Brinson during the 9th inning of today's game. Although the subject was not identified prior to the end of the game, the Rockies, they're investigating the incident. Rockies, they got zero tolerance for any form of racism, discrimination. Any fan using derogatory language of any kind will be ejected and banned from Coors Field. Okay. So, which it's kind of odd, don't you think? We're living in a time where, especially in regards to this issue, there is no due process in the terms of public opinion. They came out and immediately said there's a racial slur here. And then one day later, they got to backtrack. And they say, where is it? Okay, after a thorough investigation that included calls, emails, and video clips from concerned fans, media, and broadcast partners, we concluded the fan was indeed yelling for the Rockies mascot Dinger in hopes of getting his attention for a photo. No racial slur. The Rockies remain dedicated to providing an inclusive environment for all fans. Blah blah. All the rest of it just nonsense. And you look at that, and so you have the kind of what I call the outrage culture that ensues. Like, oh, we heard this, or Myers Leonard is like a great example. Myers Leonard with the when he was gaming and he said something anti-Semitic that I didn't even know was a thing. So you have that, just an example. And everyone rushes out to just condemn it all the way around, as if there are levels to the certain level of condemnation, as if you say, well, I disagree with that. That's terrible. And I say, well, I disagree with it more. I think it's just the worst thing we've ever seen in our lifetime. Like, that's the kind of society we're cultivating for ourselves, where everyone just rushes out and just has to, show how morally superior they are to someone else. So you have their initial statement where they say there was a racial slur and we're looking into it. And then you have I'm just really overwhelmed with the amount of work they put in with we had to, let me go back to this, because they had to use the most overwhelming amount of videos and emails. And I what do emails even have to do with this? Just watch the tape, listen to the tape. You found some run-of-the-mill dude on Twitter who, did some cool acoustic stuff and just had it to where you could hear exactly what the fan was saying pretty much. I don't know I really don't know why so much effort, and we had to go comb through I don't know what the number is, but let's say hundreds of emails, and we had to watch the video from 32 different angles for one word, and then you notice the follow-up statement, they say there's no, they rule out, okay, the fan was actually he did not say a racial slur. He was saying the mascot's name, trying to get the mascot's attention. What about that fan though? That fan didn't get an apology. That fan literally didn't do nothing wrong. He don't get an apology. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem. That man was, he literally did not do anything wrong. And I think that's something that should at least be acknowledged.
Jay, when you say apology from who exactly?
I think the fan deserves an apology from, if you jump to conclusions off that, I think I'm primarily talking about the team. Understand what I'm saying? The team initially came out and said there was a racial slur, when in fact there was not. As I think I've said before, if you're going to accuse someone of racism, you probably should be correct and back it up with some facts. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of the problem that we've created. Like it's just it's just a term that we diluted to a degree that it's like, I mean, I honestly, like, I could care less if someone calls me racist because I just don't take it seriously. You know me, other people in my life know me. They know how I roll. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So the Rockies are kind of who I'm looking at. They came out steaming because, you know, all the little backlash and everyone's obviously up in arms about this. And they said there's a racial slur out here and we're going after it. When in fact there was none. I think the fan, because you got to believe, like, that fan, you know, people probably found out who he was. They was looking him up all over the place. If he's on social media, and they was lighting him up because that's what happens. And I really think, like, the Rockies, especially because that's a definitive tweet they put out originally before they backtracked the next day. I think the Rockies owed a man an apology at minimum. I think it's unfortunate they didn't. In regards to the team name and all of that, first of all, just in case people don't know, because we don't do a lot of baseball on this show. If you look at, like, why does the team mascot need to be Dinger? I don't quite know, and I don't quite care. But just so everyone knows, Dinger is kind of a slang term for home run. And I don't know the background of why the team mascot is, but I will say this. The Rockies Stadium, Coors Field, is known for, like, the thin air and just, you know, it's really hard for pitchers to, like, have effective careers out there because just the ball just flies out the ballpark like no other park because of the thin air, and that, you know, it's above sea level to that degree. So, you know, I don't know why the team mascot is named Dinger, but maybe the propensity for how many home runs get hit, maybe that has something to do with it. But in the end, man, it's a microcosm of just where we are today at society and what we spend time on. I'm all about, like, if we can root out racism everywhere and get it out of the minds of everyone, I'm all for it. Like I say, but I don't think it's realistic. I think it's one of those things where, as time continues to move on, you know, people with these you know, different mindsets that just don't make a whole lot of sense, that population becomes less and less as these people die off. That is what I truly believe. And it's just unfortunate that we're at a point now with this, that something that in all actuality did not happen. And I understand people hearing it in the moment, but when you go back and when you know all the facts with the mascot name and you actually listen, I'm telling you, I listened to this one time. I didn't need to hear it again because I think it's a waste of time just going ahead and listening over and over. I could have done this investigation in literally 5 minutes because it didn't happen. So it's unfortunate. And I just think it's no disrespect to you at all, but I think that the question you pose is absolutely ludicrous.
Well, you know, I just, you know, some of these questions ain't gonna quite, you know, be a critical thinking exercise.
If you're trolling me, you did a hell of a job.
Yeah, man. Listen, the question was based around, and I was trolling a little bit, just because, just like you say, in this day and age, if we don't like it, we just getting rid of it now. And you know, when I first seen this, I'm gonna be honest. I thought the N-word was getting slung out there. Once again, I was miseducated. I was misinformed. When I go back and watch the video again, because first glance, I'm like, wait, what? This dude, what, in Colorado? This how they doing it? They still, what is this, 1940s? Like, what we doing here? Then, you know, watch the video again. More information came out. It just so happened the mascot name is Dinger. I said, okay, cool. Once I understood that, I went back and watched the video again, correlated, and like you said, it's pretty clear cut. He's saying Dinger. I'm black. Call me what you want. But as I watched the video, I can agree with my partner that yes, I don't think that guy was trying to be racist. He just got caught up in a bad moment. Now, the reason I asked you about the apology, because listen, if you know, mistakes happen, but if I'm Lewis Brinson, right, and I'm playing, and I just start hearing this out of nowhere, and I'm Lewis Brinson, and I'm in 2021, I might jump to conclusions a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? Like, what is he saying? Is he calling me? All right, cool. Now, I do agree with you as far as the Colorado Rockies go. Listen, could you make sure you got all the facts before you go in and you kill your own like super fan or whatever he is? Because clearly he's not just your average fan. Look where he was sitting at.
Right. Yep.
Those ain't the cheapest seats in the house. Let's call it. Let's keep it real. Right behind home plate. What you said, that's the equivalent of a courtside seat in the NBA?
Yep.
So, listen. So, the dude ain't stupid. Now, I do know that it is people that sit courtside in the NBA and they say some things. I got that. But I don't think they say, phrases like that on courtside. Yeah, they might, call a player a crybaby. They're not
giving out courtside seats and behind the home plate seats. Homeless people strung out their mind ain't getting those seats. You know what I'm saying? People, if you sitting in those locations, you got to be aware. And I got to believe that guy. It would take a really disconnected person from like reality to like be that brazen and say something like that. And you brought up another great point about this when you watched the video, because like I said, I watched it once and I was done. But you said the reaction of the people around him, that there really was no reaction. And you got to believe if he was saying the N-word, that would have got people's attention, and they would have they would have said something, and it would have been evident in the video.
Right. So the first time I watched it, I focused more on what was getting said. The second time I watched it, right, I focused on what he was saying, but then I said, okay, let me look at the other people that paid so much money for their tickets that's sitting around him. Because listen, even if everybody's all white there, because I know people gonna say, well, they're white too, so why would they have a problem with that? Listen, let me tell you something. I tell you right now, I'm black. If I go into a group of white people and I just start saying, yeah, what's up, niggas? What's up, my like, that would make, and I'm black, that would make all those white people uncomfortable. Why? Because they understand that. Even if they're racist, they understand that's kind of wild that dude came over here saying all that. Like, I don't know if that was a setup or what.
I'd venture to say at the very least, you're probably gonna get some confusion on their faces.
Right. Like, is this dude for real? All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? That 2021 COVID, you never know what you're gonna see, right? So
did you get the vaccine?
When you know what I'm saying, right? Anybody else? You. Which one you got? Johnson & Johnson. You look like you got Johnson & Johnson. But with that said, when I looked at those individuals around him, and they're just looking at the game like normal, are they deaf? Is it that loud in the stadium? Like, no. Clearly, they didn't think he was saying anything wrong. So when I looked at that, and like you said before the show, that kind of made me feel like, listen, one or two things. Either he's not saying the word at all, or Colorado is racist as hell. One of the two things. Like, they out here like Mississippi and Alabama back in the 40s or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, they racist as hell. But I had to go with the earlier and saying, hey, I honestly don't think the fan was trying to be offensive. Now, I want to say something to your point, because you made a good point about where does the fan stand in all of this when the smoke clears, right? Because I can guarantee you they jump to some conclusions as far as, hey, we're gonna ban you from the arena. Hey, you can't get seats like that again. Hey, you know how teams do. Like, they start flexing their muscles. They want to show the MLB front office. They want to show the commissioner, hey, we take care of this. We don't condone this. Blah 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 blah. So they overreact. I'm with you. I would like to see a public apology to this man. I'm like, and this is why I asked you who should issue the apology. But I don't care if it's the Colorado Rockies. I don't care if it's I drew a blank on the guy's name. I don't care if it's
Lewis Brinson.
There we go. Yeah, I drew a blank. I don't care if it's Lewis Brinson. But somebody need to get this guy like I really do think a public apology, because the thing is this, like, we don't understand what this guy had to go through for the next how many ever days, because people like myself probably didn't catch the right word on the first time. So now he on his way out the game, and you probably got people all over him because they think he out here just yelling the N word. And then on top of that, ain't no telling how the Colorado Rockies organization like treated him past that. Hey man, you put us in this situation. You know what I'm saying? I do think he deserves an apology. I really do. I like that point. I think you got to think about the fan at this point. And then listen, I know it sounds crazy. I know you said the question is ludicrous, but at the end of the day, as ludicrous as it is in 2021, it's still realistic.
Right.
It's still a realistic question.
I agree. Given the kind of where we're headed, and we're seeing all the name changes, and as if that does anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me please, someone do a study out there that can tell me the effect of changing the names of a sporting team, and tell me how many if that leads to a decrease in police brutality. I'd love to see it. I really would. And just,
wait, whoa. Now let me hold on, because I think it's a two-sided coin, because a lot of these name changes seem to have more to do with Native Americans than to do black people.
Yeah, well, so and I was just using that as an example, but like, I guess the better phrasing of what I said would be, show me the study where that leads to, I don't know, more inclusion, and it marginalizes, minorities less. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm getting at.
I would say, show me the name change where it brought that city together. That's what
right. Sure. Yeah, so, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. When did that make Washington tighter? Did that make Cleveland tighter? Did that make you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at with it. Like, give me some tangible, results with this, because are those particular cities less racist because they changed the name, particularly like Cleveland, but back to the apology, because I do want to like just give this example to show you kind of what I'm talking about. Let's just say, like, you on the street, and in a kind of crazy world where it's just street justice, and you find 10 white folks that have been just, hey, these 10 white folks said some racist thing. We need to just lay down some justice. And the justice is, I'll borrow one of your terms, the two-piece with the biscuit. So you roll through and you lay down the street justice. And then later you find out, the next day or so, there's like, hey, brother, we looked into it. It turned out that we was wrong about one of them white folks. They didn't say that. I think it would be incumbent upon you and the rest of the crew to roll back there and be like, hey, we apologize. And I don't know, maybe get some, maybe get together and put some money in the collection plate for the medical bills. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm getting at. Right.